Hi, Ray here. It's great to see you. In this video, I'll show you the evolving video rig that I've put together for my Nikon Z6 mirrorless camera. So I hope you'll join me as I assemble it and show you how I adapted a selection of SmallRig's components to my existing video production gear. I wanted to create a video rig that could work tripod mounted with full accessories such as audio recorder and shotgun mic, but also as a pared down run and gun rig. What I ended up with at this point is composed of more than a dozen components from SmallRig, who I think make some of the best accessories for hybrid cameras. I'll put a list below and at the end of this video, probably with callouts on the rig. This video is not sponsored, incidentally. I bought all these parts with my own hard-earned anemic Canadian dollars. After I bought the Atomos Ninja 5 external monitor recorder, and I'll also link a video on how I set that up here, I started out with a simple hot shoe monitor mount, but I don't really like to mount anything too heavy though on a hot shoe. So over the last couple of months, I collected the rest of the components as my idea of what I needed evolved. I kept an ever-changing note on this to gauge cost and figure out what would work for my existing gear, such as mics and the Tascam DR60D MK II audio recorder. In the end, there was quite an unboxing ceremony, as I say, for the collection of components I assembled for this build. But this is, after all, the advantage of this hybrid approach to filmmaking, that with a modular approach we can adapt our camera and rig to the circumstances. Anyway, at the center of this rig is the 29-26 cage. There are several different models of these cages for the Z series cameras available from SmallRig, which I won't compare here, but this one is advertised to use with the Z6 and Z7 and their successors, the Z6 II and Z7 II. It features multiple 1/4 20 and Arri 3/8 16 accessory threads, and it has an integrated cold shoe and also NATO rail. And it's the more affordable one. There's nothing much to attaching it to the camera. It slides over the camera and it's secured with a 1/4 20 screw to the tripod mounting hole. And the cage comes with a integrated flathead screwdriver, which is held magnetically in a slot in the bottom. And then, to avoid the camera swiveling in the cage, this small screw, an M2.5, is included to secure the cage to the camera through the camera's strap attachment point, which of course in turn have these attachments that are sort of like triangular key rings. Other reviewers have said that these are hard to remove, but as you can see here, I didn't find it difficult to remove them at all. And it shouldn't be difficult to reattach them if you want to return the camera to just stills use. The cage also has a place to install a strap. I don't find that it's cumbersome to leave the cage on when I'm using it for stills, however. I have a second Z6 on which I have the SmallRig L bracket with the Swiss Arca dovetail. The next part of the rig is the base I chose. And what I chose was the universal 15mm rail support system base plate, which makes it easy to quickly remove the camera from the rig. It's also extendable should you need to change the height for clearance and adjustment. It holds the 15mm rail, and these are the 12-inch carbon fiber rails. And I have the Manfrotto plate on the bottom, which works with my existing Manfrotto photo video tripod, which I hope to replace soon. I don't use a follow focus mechanism at the moment. I use the Z6's capable autofocus, but if and when I do, there's room on these rails to mount one. Up front we have the lens support bracket That takes the weight off the lens, because of course we no longer have the option of mounting the lens foot to the tripod. Now, if you're using the FTC adapter with your Z camera, as I am here with the 24-70 f2.8 lens, then you'll also need to think about support for it and leveling out the space between the cage and the camera base. So SmallRig have that covered with this adapter support bracket. It mounts to the cage, secured with 2 screws and a single screw into the FTZ adapter's tripod mount. Of course, you don't need this with native Z mount lenses, and I must admit that fiddling with this out in the field is a bit of a pain. All the more reason to transition to the Z mount lenses. However, until I win the lottery, this does the job it's designed to do. Incidentally, when I have all my components on this rig, I can still support, say, my 70-200 2.8 zoom, but it's tight. SmallRig and other manufacturers have rails at least up to 16 inches. To the handles. Again, quite a few types to choose from with different modes of attachment. For the top handle, I went for this one that uses the ARRI locating point on the cage. It's commodious and comfy, great for getting those low shots. There are also models that screw into the cage on the top here, but I prefer to be able to quickly detach the handle, and that's the case with the ARRI and some of the other handles. You can get ones that attach by a cold shoe or a NATO rail clamp. You'd need to add a NATO rail to the top of the cage to use one of those, but they're a nice option as well. Speaking of NATO, there's a built-in NATO rail on the left-hand side, which I use to attach the aluminum side handle that I chose, simply because I prefer the look and feel of these over the wooden side handles. And I didn't choose a second side handle. I'm fine with Nikon's beefy grip. But if you wanted to add a handle on the right side, you could choose from a number of fixed or quick release handles from SmallRig. There's all these threaded holes there for mounting options. The Ninja 5. I'm still using the first monitor mount I bought, the cold shoe model, but I sprang for the SmallRig cage, kit, and sun hood. It was twice the price of the camera cage itself, but I think it's a small price to pay for the extra protection and mounting options. It includes these little tabs which secure the media, which in this case is just ordinary SSDs, which are less expensive than the Angelbird SSDs. So that's a nice touch. And the cable clamp to secure the HDMI cable, plus other mounting holes. Like the camera cage, the monitor cage slides over the Ninja 5, and it's secured with a single screw into the bottom mounting hole, and 2 tiny, I think these are M2 screws, that fit into these threaded side holes here. It's a bit easier to remove the caddy securing tabs to put it on, but be aware they're spring-loaded, so caution is advised. Since I first mounted it, I've found it's possible, with a bit of fiddling, to mount it without removing those tabs. The sun hood is easily attached and removed with Velcro straps. I usually loosen them and fold the hood over the screen to pack in my camera bag, and it affords protection that way. Even with the Ninja's 1000 nit screen, the hood really is a great help on bright days. As you can see, I mount the Ninja on the cold shoe on top of the side handle. I like this better than mounted up here on the handle or wherever, where it kind of gets a bit unbalanced and unwieldy. Now to the audio. I bought the very affordable SmallRig mic mount to use on the cold shoe mount here on this side of the cage. And I use that with my Røde NTG2 shotgun mic. That, with the Tascam, are recording this audio, so I'll show those via some B-roll. I can run it to the Tascam recorder if I want to have everything mounted together as a complete rig. At this point, we're definitely talking tripod mounted because this is starting to get heavy and ungainly for run and gun. But for interviews, on location and such, it's nice to have everything accessible right here. And I should mention that the weight of this rig is, to a point, a good thing. It has a stabilizing effect, and many videographers prefer this kind of handheld look over a floating gimbal effect in many situations. With the addition of a cheese plate and a couple of rail blocks, I can hang the recorder on the rails at the rear of the camera. These 12-inch rails give me just enough room to still use the touchscreen on the Z6. So again, that's everything assembled into a single rig. More often, I take advantage of the Røde Wireless GO system, so I can separate the recorder, maybe leave that with the receiver in my location audio kit, and mount the transmitter, whether using its inbuilt microphone or a smaller shotgun like one of the Røde video mics plugged into it, mounted on the rig, and I'd probably put it here on the handle. I can also just plug the Go receiver straight into the Ninja if I want to. For that, I've added a cold shoe on the Ninja. Now, my usual power solution for the Tascam recorder is a 10,000 milliamp hour Anker PowerCore 2 charger. So if I want to include that on the rig, again, SmallRig to the rescue with their holder for the portable power banks. It's this little unit here. And I mount that on my right side here. The only downside is that it blocks access to the card slot, but that's not an issue if I'm recording just to the Ninja 5. Perhaps in the future I'll run everything on, say, a single V-mount battery, including the camera, because that's the real power hog here, and changing batteries, especially when shooting time-lapse and long exposure, is a pain. Again, SmallRig has a number of solutions for that. Finally, as a sort of DIY stand-in for a matte box, and SmallRig has recently added to their version, or I should say added their version to the array of matte boxes out there from other brands like Tilta and Polar Probe. Since I had an existing set of Nisi filters, including ND filters, that's what I use. I haven't yet sprung for a matte box filter holder, though I must say that's the best route. It's much more convenient in the field. So anyway, I came up with this makeshift sunshade. It consists of a 7-inch SmallRig cold shoe rosette arm and a studio clamp holder with 5/8 inch light stand attachment from Nikkor. And I simply mount that. Let's loosen it up a bit here. I simply mount that on the cold shoe mount here on the camera, and we can swivel it around until it's at the appropriate spot to shield the lens from the sun. So there you have it. My solution for using my Nikon Z6 in a full video rig. There isn't anything I'd change so far other than, as I say, probably add a more powerful power source to run the whole rig. I hope you found this useful, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't, please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss upcoming content. Cheers, take care of yourself, and we'll see you later.